Hello, fellow plant enthusiasts. So I'm gonna take this, it had a plant in it, I got it from clearance at Lowe's one time, and I figured this would make a nice, small macrame hanger. You know, I can put a hook on the wall and have this hanging with a nice trailing plant dangling, and I think it would look great. So to start, they have these tabs at the bottom, which I don't need, and also if you look at them, they stick out the edge. They're not concealed, which is hideous, you know? So I'm going to remove these to start because they are unnecessary. So I decided to go with a 1-inch keyring, and I'm going with stainless steel. And I've been making these wall-mounted macrame hangers, and this is one of my more popular models. So I'm a little rusty on the normal style of macrame. So I have that thing as padding, and I'm going to use the taller hook. Guess I'll set these there. So these used to be 0.1 inches and they made them now 0.15 inches, so they made them a little thicker. I have one here that's 0.1 inches. You can see the very minuscule difference, but I noticed a lot of times when I pull these cording, and this was just past where I needed, you do have some frayed regions, so I feel like the quality has reduced a bit with this current batch. But anyway, I now have enough pieces. So I'm going to be taking them and running them through the keyring. So here I have 6 pieces of cording down to 9 feet looped in through this. So now this piece, I'm actually going to use it to make the wrapping knot. I'm going to loop this up there, and then I'm going to just wind this around 10 times. Okay, then run it through the loop. Pull this up. Okay. Now these are not perfectly all lined up, which is a disappointment. But I'm going to push this up. That's what I have. I'm going to have to pull these just to make sure they're all tight, and then it becomes more presentable. And there we have it. Now I can pull this through. Then cut this. Now that I have this, I can take 2 and 2. And I'm going to start running a square knot. You know, you could do a half square if you want to twist, but I kind of like the square knot more. And one thing to note, I'm starting the square knot from the top versus from below. I think these are being too loud, aren't they? Now, I don't have to explain square knots for you guys because every macrame video out there seems to want to explain how to do each knot, and then it ends up becoming a little too redundant. So if you want instructions on how to do these knots, simply look them up. They're very abundant. I feel like there's no need to just repeat what everybody else is saying. And in the process, you might find somebody whose macrame is really nice for you. You know, you like their style, and then you may want to start practicing from their models besides just mine. Okay, so I have equal number of loops on all of these, and when you look at them, they're about the same length. Basically, a stack of microfiber cloths help make sure if I drop this, I'm not going to break it. So now I have these, and what I'm going to do is take the two adjacent ones from two of the cordings, and I'm going to set up another square knot, and then I'm going to see where this lies. Yeah, that's going to be okay. So now I can take the other two and do the same. So I basically have 3 square knots, and looking at them you can see how they're about the right length. Now I have to make sure I didn't make them too tight. So when I stick this in here, you see how it's tight, and if I stick it in from the top, if I do it as a cradle like that, it doesn't look right. So I'm going to have to actually massage these to be a little looser, and that seems about right. Okay, so I have equal length square knots right there. And what's interesting is I can always extend this lower, but then you see how it doesn't look as well. Let me stick this up in here. See how it's going to look with these square knots down the side. So now I'm going to go and run these in like that. I have a certain way I do it where I take a key ring, and I'm actually taking one that's a little smaller, and I'm going to actually take this and take each of these and loop them through. And I've noticed that this is a good solid way to make sure when you run the wrapping knot at the bottom, it's not going to ever loosen and collapse, because I always worry that these wrapping knots are not sturdy enough that eventually they'll come undone. Now, one thing I'm going to do, which will make life a little easier, is take these alligator clips and clip every grouping just so it makes it easier when I'm wrapping them around. You want to, when you loop them through, have them all loop in the same direction. So there we go. Now I can remove these alligator clips. I basically want the wrapping knot to get, the square knots to get up to the edge. And that's how I want it. So now, before I tighten the wrapping knot, I'm going to take each one of these cordings and tighten it. And now, as you can see, these are all level. They're not bulging much or anything. So I can tighten this a bit. So now I can tighten the square knot. I keep calling the finishing knot the square knot. Pull this up. Take one last minute check, and you see this is lopsided again. But it does stretch out, so that's good. I'm going to all cut them to the same length. And for this, you do need the sharper scissors. And here you have it. Nice, decorative, ornate macrame hanger. I put a hook on the wall, and I can hang this against the wall, and it will look nice. I think this could have been a little longer. It was intended to be longer, but sometimes when you try to custom make them, they don't always work out the best. And this would actually look nicer if the tail is a little shorter. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep it a little longer and have some trailing plants hang out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this macrame project. Thanks for watching, and happy planting.